Hi, I'm Hiro Fukuda with Nippon Shaft. We're here today at the Village Links of Glen Ellen in Illinois for the first Nippon Shaft fitting day. We're lucky to have Bill Constantine here with us from the PGA Tour. He's been our tour up for a couple years, and as you can see, we brought the van out here to show people what's been done on tour, and just want to take a little bit of time to speak with Bill about the tour and what he does out there. So Bill, thanks for coming out here.
Oh, thanks for having me out here.
And so it's been about a couple years now since you've been with us.
This is third year.
Third year now?
With Nippon, yes. It's been a great experience. I've been out on tour since 2006, 2007 with a variety of companies from an OEM standpoint to a component standpoint. But I can tell you this, Nippon's been the best experience I've had at this point. So it's very excited to be here.
Excellent. Well, thanks again for coming out. So 18 years you've been on a tour. You've seen a lot out there.
It's when you put it in numbers like that, it's you sit back and you think about, I guess it has been that long. Wow. So I've seen a lot. Got to work with a lot of great players, a lot of number ones, a lot of major winners in different roles. But I've seen a lot.
Over the last 18 years, any kind of trends you've seen from that time to today?
I think the biggest trend right now is just how much information the players get on a day-to-day basis. 2006, 2007, launch monitors were very new, very cumbersome. Nowadays, players carry them around on practice rounds, and they're 18-hole practice rounds. They hit shots with them, so they're constantly getting the information. They're probably the most informed golfers that have ever been out there. Probably obviously some of the best fit as well. Equipment. When it comes down to equipment, we're dealing with quarter-inch tippings, half-degree lie angle changes, half-degree loft changes, and these guys can feel it and see it now, and they get the information to back them up.
So with all this kind of like minute information and all this statistics you have out there, I think with us, our products, we're pretty strong in terms of tolerances and such, so it kind of fits in well.
I'm not going to name any names of the other companies I've worked for, but the tolerances that I've seen here, seeing the process of how the golf shaft's manufactured, second to none. That I 100% confidence that when I grab a 120, the spec's the same, weight's the same, everything, such tight tolerances with the Nippon product. The quality control is just above and beyond. And it is recognized out on tour as well.
With all the models that you have, how has it been easy for you, or how has it been the process of fitting players out there?
So one of the nice things or the benefits that working with Nippon is that they've already all the product has hit every category that we need, from weight to flex, and then so we know we have something in a weight and a flex that can fit anybody, but they're always striving to see what else better they can do. So now they talk to us, hey, what do you see out there? What would you like to see in a prototype? And they've been very responsive in producing that. Hey, we really like the weight of this 105, but can we get something that maybe launches it a little bit higher? Or some of the guys are saying, the 130, it's a great weight, it's what they're used to playing, but the trajectory might be a little too high for them. So they've always been very receptive into listening to our feedback and how, what prototype could benefit on the tour player. And when we see that benefit the tour player, then, a year or two, or depending on how it happens, you're going to see it at retail as benefit as well.
So with all the models that we've had, maybe you could just tell us kind of a very simple way of how you fit a player.
The tour player is probably the easiest one to fit. In the fact that they don't miss very many shots. When you get it to retail, you're looking at, out of 10 shots, you might get 3 or 4 that they felt like they struck their normal. So a tour player, we kind of fit for the miss. When they hit it in the center of the club, they don't see a difference, but it's when that miss happens and they kind of, and how, if we can get the dispersion on the misses tighter, or we can get the spin number that it stays consistent, or look in that part where it doesn't, the miss spins up and it comes way short, that the tour player kind of struggles with that. Distance is a big thing out there. If you ever watch TV, they're talking about cover numbers, and that number is a huge number to them. That's really the only number that, they know that they need to cover it this far, and that's what they're going to try to do. So if they get a product that they know, even if they miss it a little bit, it's still going to cover that number because of the consistency in the spin. That would be, to me, is how we fit it. We do a lot of information, I think we talk, personally, I talk a lot more with them before we even hit a shot. What are they playing now? What do they like about it? What don't they like about it? There's always going to be a little give and take. If that person wants a higher trajectory than what they're currently playing, we're probably going to we're going to give something up, whether that's spin, but we're going to give up something in order to get that trajectory. So you try to get as much history from the player as you can, what they want to do, what they want to see, and then we kind of fit from there. One of the unique things that Nippon has opened my eyes to, and what it was, for years, if you wanted to hit it lower, you went heavier. If you wanted to hit it higher, you went lighter. Well, the great engineers at Nippon and the way they can design a golf shaft, it's actually the opposite for that product. So if someone's looking to hit it higher, our 130 is our highest trajectory. 105 is probably one of the more penetrating ball flights that we have, which is one of our lighter ones. So it's just, it's a great experience. Players aren't used to seeing that, like, oh, lightweight, they've already got it in their mind it's gonna go way too high. And then you have to, a little convincing on that. But when it happens, when they do hit it, you build a confidence, you build some rapport with them that, you know what you're talking about, and they feel confident with the product.
So it's interesting you brought up the kind of two extremes of our lineup, the 105 and the 130. And the 105 was originally thought of in too light for the players out on tour, but it's actually not.
No, there's quite a few players that play the 105. And again, I think where you're starting to see that trend is that the old school thought process was light went high. And players were like, well, no, I don't want to hit it any higher than what I'm doing now. Well, when we get a tour player in a 105X or a 105S, and they hit it, and it's a very penetrating ball flight. It's not like straight up in the air. It doesn't do like some other product that they would think or they've hit and it's lightweight and it just goes right up there. It is a stable product. One of the other things that we saw with lightweight was dispersion. Everyone thought dispersion was greater with lighter weight. That's not the case at all with this product. Dispersion often comes in, much tighter dispersion, penetrating trajectory. And the players are like very, very intrigued with it. So if you kind of look at it, you've taken a product that's 25 grams lighter, and these guys swing the golf club thousands of times a week. The energy, you're looking at 20 grams. If they can get a product that's a little bit lighter, still produce what they want, or even improve their flight characteristics, and it's lighter, they save energy. So after 72 holes, they still have the energy. They're not tired. And it's a benefit. And some of the guys look at that and see that. So the perfect example is a month ago at the Byron Nelson. We were approached from a player, very high speed, high ball speed, high swing speed type of player. And they were like, well, that in a traditional fitting, it would be X-Flex, super heavy throughout the bag, because that's what they did. And they were like, well, no, we would really like to go light. And we're like, okay, how, 120, no, light, 105. So here's a player that's been top 5 driving distance, top 5 ball speed on tour since he's been out. And we fit him in 105S's. Kind of.
Which doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It goes against, again, it goes against the recommended fitting procedure or process. But the thing that happened was he hit one fight and he loved it, and he was able to swing it, and it didn't balloon. It didn't go all over the map. The dispersions were just as tight, if not tighter, than what his heavier clubs were, and he was able to produce the golf shots he wanted with less effort. And he was ecstatic about it, and he's still been ecstatic about it. I talked to him last week, and he's still in love with it and likes it. So
yeah, that's great to hear. So it really optimizes natural swing instead of him trying to work hard for it.
Correct, and I think as everyone, we kind of get caught up into habits or ruts or whatnot. Like, oh, 180 ball speed, we got to go X, or we got to, you have to do stiffness X. We open it up and try something a little bit different once in a while, and it'll work.
So we've been here for the last couple of days at the Village Links in Glen Ellen. We're basically watching more amateur players. And as a PGA professional yourself and as a fitter, do you see anything out here that, in terms of the players, what you would recommend? And in terms of fitting, we believe that everybody should be fit.
100%. Take the time, get fit, depending on where your level is. And as your handicap goes up or down, it probably needs to be done every 3 or 4 years minimum to fit. Every club head is a little bit different. Every golf shaft's a little bit different. But once you're able to go and see someone like Mark or a fitter in town, in your town, you get so much more information of what you're doing, how it produces, what feels best for you. I mean, like if we did it, perfect example, some guy, we just watching him hit clubs, we give him a different club, it's half-inch longer, it's a night and day fitting, he enjoys it, and all of a sudden he's seeing stuff that he couldn't produce with what he had, even though, so you recommend it, get your lies checked, things like that, that the average person just kind of overlooks. I think one of the things that you see, if you just buy it off the rack, not every this is the thing that I think people don't realize, that every manufacturer measures different. So one manufacturer's 36 could be another manufacturer's 36.25, but it could be that manufacturer's 36. That's just the way they measure it. It just measures a little bit longer. So always double check your stuff. Always get go through the proper fitting, and it'll benefit you.
Basically get tuned up every
I
couple
agree.
of years.
Yeah, tuned up. Yeah, just to make sure you're in the same. If there's something, you might have gotten stronger. You might be able to benefit from a shaft that produces a little bit more penetrating ball flight. You might have got weaker and you need something to hit it up a little bit higher in the air. So always try to stay up on the latest.
So as far as the tour player out there on a weekly basis, how often do they tune up in a sense?
Oh, there are players that that you see daily.
Daily. Okay.
Daily. We're typically there Monday through Wednesday on tour. The practice round days, we've known them, and it's not just generational, or it's not just this generation. It's every generation. There's been players that have changed something every week or double check. Now there's guys that don't have their loft and lies grips checked ever. You have to beg. When we worked for the OEMs, you had to beg them to come in and double check everything. Nowadays, it seems to be this generation is a little bit more relies a little bit more on the numbers, getting the loft and lie machine or loft and lies checked on a weekly basis. Sometimes, I would say on average, the average tour player gets it done at least once a month to every 6 weeks.
So getting back to a little bit about our products, we have the Modus products, which are mainly the products used on the PGA Tour, but also I think you may have experience with the Zelos products and the Neo products. And I think that fits not just the amateur or the slower swing speed players, but we have quite a few professional players playing it more on the LPGA side and such. My question is, do you think a lot of amateurs should be considering lighter weight products as well,
Oh, like I said before earlier, that if that player can get something that's a little bit lighter and they can produce a golf shot and it's very consistent golf shot, which our product is, at the end of the round they're not as tired. It benefits them. And again, if they're only playing once a week, it's one thing for guys that play every day, they'll still benefit, but just that once a week you get tired after that round. So the lightweight product that is by far, and again, one of the things that gets caught up in that, lightweight was bigger dispersion, not as consistent, and that's just not the case. I mean, anywhere. I've personally tried the 950 Neos. I've tried the 950. I've got to hit them all. Yeah. All great product, all very consistent. I just couldn't believe, when I hit the 950 Neo, how straight it was as a golf shot. It was just, it produced everything that they said it would. And so when you do that, it's the average amateur will just have so much more fun playing the game. There's a couple drivers or technician guys that swear by the 850s on tour. So those guys are being able to do that, and they're good golfers. And it's not this. They're scratched. 1-2 handicaps, and they're playing 850, 950s, and they love it. I think one of the benefits that you have at the consumer level is that you can get a steel product that's much more consistent and less inexpensive than if you had to go graphite, and you're going to go see that, and you're going to get all the benefits of a lightweight, consistent product, and it's so beneficial for the average consumer or the average player.
So one product that we haven't brought out or focused that much on the tour is our graphite lineup, the NS Pro Regio Formula, which are based upon the Modus kind of bend profiles. I think you may have experienced a few players that have tried it. It's hard to do both on tour, but as far as the Regio products, I think it might really benefit a lot of the amateurs quite a bit because it's similar bend profiles. Very
similar bend profiles to the iron shaft, so you can kind of keep within that family and have all the clubs feel the same. The product, I've tested it and hit it, and it's great. There's no, again, when you're looking at golf clubs, you want the tightest dispersions, the most consistent, and every person that's hit it has seen it, and they see that. Yeah, I think it kind of, there's a surprise factor to it in that they don't associate it with graphite, but the products, the graphite quality control is so good. It stays right in line with the steel quality control that the average golfer is going to benefit from it. Again, the weight categories are all within there, and again, it's an easy product to hit and swing and to produce the results that consumer wants to see.
So 15 years since we first made it on a tour, and now we've got 5 products. We first started off with a couple prototypes and then released Tour 120. Latest product was the Modus Tour 115. And so we've got, and then on top of all the prototypes that we have out there as well. Do you think that there are other products, that may be something that you might be looking for in the next 15 years?
Well, wow, that's we're going to be editing this because that's a thought. Well, I think it depends on what the golf ball, what they end up ultimately doing with the golf ball. I think the average consumer doesn't want to hit it any shorter. I think, we're talking about less than 1% of the golf population. And, so again, we might be looking at something even lighter to be able to produce some higher swing speeds that have very tight dispersions. If that can be developed that would be a process.
So you got to look at a lot of factors.
Yeah,
before
I
we
think.
can make a.
Yeah, I think so. Like the golf clubs have made a huge jump. I mean, I mean, here's an example. I think where we're going is that we've always, for the last 10 years, what have we tried to do? Every iron shaft or every club, we try to knock spin off of every ball. Well, now the club designers have figured out how to keep the spin low. And what have we done with the Neo is we've been able to, hey, there's a spot where the average consumer is hitting a golf ball and they're not spinning enough. They're not hitting these clubs. Right. Well, you create Neo, a little bit more spin, and that benefits the player too. You know, so and that just goes back to the product line of, we look at it, Nippon's been able to go from the elite to the average player to the beginner and be able to produce a product that has tour quality on any product, whether it's a 60 or 70 gram Zillows to, you know, Tour 130, you know you're going to get a consistent product.
So pretty much with our lineup that we have right now, the Zelos and the Modus, we can fit just about any.
You can fit any person with what that product line is. There's no, there are no holes in that lineup whatsoever. I think, like you said, with the prototypes, we're trying to find niches, and then it's just fine tuning that process. But as far as the full lineup, from super lightweight to Modus to the graphite and then the Ghost, everything that you can fit, a consumer should easily be able to go driver to wedge in Nippon product.
So let's talk about what's in the bag of Bill Constantine. What do you play now, and how did you get to that process of selecting that model?
So it was a long process. So this was the third year. And I am in Tour 120Ss right now. 115 in the wedges. MB Plus in the driver. And then Ghost in the hybrids, a Ghost S in the hybrids. That process started with 950 Neos. Loved them. I just didn't realize how much more they spun than what I needed. I liked the lightweight. Went back to the 105 S's. Played those for a long time, over a year. Loved the feel of them. Whether it was swing or me, whatever, there was something. And then just wanted to make sure I understood the whole product line. I built an iron with the 120S and fell in love. And it was just night and day. And now that's what it is. And it's been, you know, I think with just that unique bend profile that 120S has, it just fit my feel, fit my eye as far as trajectory. Did the spin numbers. Unfortunately, I'm a short, high spin number guy, and it was able to keep the trajectory where we needed to do and control the spin. And it
fits you.
It just fits me.
But that kind of shows you that going through a fitting, you should try various amounts of profiles.
100%.
Weights, so forth.
Try it all. Don't get caught up in weight. You know that the light's not going to be enough for you. That's too light. I can't swing that. It doesn't work that way. Or, you know, again, we've seen the best players in the world. It's. I want to say we have more sets of 105s than play on tour than 130s. So I think that's a trend that we're starting to see in the fact on tours that the production and the engineering and the manufacturing of the shaft, lighter weight is producing the shots they want to see, and they're not afraid of going with it.
But 18 years ago, when you brought out a 105 gram shaft, nobody would have really thought about it.
A few tried it, and the comment was always, it's boardy. If it feels too stiff and they would, a few would try, a few would play it, but nowadays it's not it's totally different feel. Nippon the Tour 105 it's such a much better feeling shaft, and it has feel to it, which is awesome to have, and something that lightweight.
Well, thanks, Bill,
joining
us, and thanks everybody. And if you have any questions for us, please send the comments.